Hey, this is Gene. I need to talk about United Stand. Um, every time I do a video on United Stand, it usually gets a little bit more views than I normally get because I average probably less than 100 views. But when I talk about stuff that they talk about, I get a little more views because obviously they have a big fan base, a lot of subscribers, 2 million almost on his one channel, and other as well. So he's very influential when it comes to Manchester United, and he has people that follow him and are just obsessed with him, or I mean, they almost like look at him as a I don't not a god, but just too much. And then I always get the same type of comments when I have a criticism of his viewpoints. I just want to do that to get more people to watch my show, to get more subscribers, and whatever. No, I just this is my opinion about the status of Manchester United, as any other fan might have. And then I also get, oh, you're American, you don't really understand. Yeah, I've been to Old Trafford probably 99% more of the people that go and listen to his show, and I followed Manchester United for 40 years. But okay, I'm not a good fan. Whatever. However, it's getting more and more toxic on his platform, uh, and it kind of like hit the nail this weekend, and he's being called out on Twitter about it. I'm not going to say X; it's Twitter to me, because he said stuff about Ten Hag and why he substituted off Garnacho, and then basically saying he put him under the bus, threw him under the bus, uh, and defended Garnacho because Garnacho's been there for 32 games in a row, and he's played really well, and he made big goals this year. Who kind of like helped Ten Hag. Some of that's okay. You can make that. But what happens then is that Garnacho likes those posts, and Mark doubles and triples down on his belief system, and he tells you he doesn't want to individualize each player, but he'll say things about other players. And I've made the same observations of certain players on this team, and I think they're fair. But when you got people on his platform, and I'm talking about Vaz, I think his name is, and he talks about the manager saying he's concussed and saying things like that that are almost unhinged. Now, it's fine. You want to be on Twitter and you want to say stuff like that and be edgy and all that shit, that's great. But you're in public spaces, you're on a show, you can see your face, and you make just outlandish calls like that when you've never coached anybody at any level when it comes to soccer or football, have no idea what's going on in the background. And I guess at this point, because he made the same statements that Mark said about Garnacho. Now, for a long time, these two's been betting heads about Ten Hag being in and out, and he's been out. Vaz has been out for 6 months now. And you can have that opinion. He thinks that maybe he doesn't understand how to coach football, and I'm just thinking to this guy, how would you know? It's like, and you have no idea how the intricacy of trying to deal with 30 or 40 pampered athletes who think they've made the big time when they get to Manchester United. And that's the big difference between us and other teams. You see other teams like Aston Villa and to a certain extent like Brighton that play a good brand of football, always run, always. These guys have not made it to the next level. And and again, Manchester United isn't, but the brand is. So what we're seeing now is we have a bunch of players that have acted the same under 3 or 4 different managers, and we still want to blame the manager over and over again. And they bring up what they did to Ronaldo, or what he did to Ronaldo, or what he did with Sancho, and now it's Garnacho all over again. And so they group all these different individual issues and say that he has a problem with managing players. Now, let's go back to after Ollie left. And everybody said, you know what, we need to be somebody in here that's going to be a disciplinarian. Everybody in the fan base said this. Everybody did. So Ten Hag comes in. He has a record of taking a young team to the semifinals of the Champions League. Probably should have been the championship final. They just went at the end of that game against Spurs. They went for another goal when they didn't need it. They just held on to it and allowed them to be open in the back. They already had the game was won, and they allowed that to happen and the counter attack to happen, and they ended up losing that game. Or they didn't lose the game, but they were out on goal difference, I think, or the way goals, I think it was. And I personally think that the Ajax team would have given Liverpool more of a threat than Spurs did. And again, Liverpool was just given a penalty in the first 5 minutes of that game, which wasn't a penalty. Didn't have VAR back then, but it wasn't a penalty. And that kind of like changed the whole game for Spurs. And that's really the big thing that Klopp actually has to say. He won the Premiership in the COVID year, and then he won the Champions League with that. So, anyway, getting back to Manchester United, we could talk about Liverpool as well and the stuff they're going. They're having a great season, but it looks like it's all going to fall apart on them. Same thing with probably with Arsenal as well, and that's probably another video. So there's nothing you can have the opinion about somebody should have better tactics, and maybe even say he's a better. He doesn't know how to deal with players. But we all, the fan base, and I'm sure even Faz, Goldbridge, Beth, all these guys that are on that channel, all wanted just disciplinarian in there. So we all were somewhat saying that Ronaldo probably needed to let go. He's probably not the right player for this type of system. And the people put out videos now shows how he used to press all the time. Under Ollie, he played well. He had 18 goals, I think, 1 year, which is a good return for center forward when we don't actually pass it that much to them. To be honest, he had a lot more chances than the players after him. We've just regressed. As bad as Pogba was, talent-wise, one of the best in the world. But when he actually played, being consistent for Manchester United, he always gave us the ability he created. And there's a time that Bruno does that. But there's a whole thing about tactics. And these are the things that you can say that Ten Hag is 100% wrong about. I would say it's based on the players he has available, and he's just using what he has. And he needs a couple more transfer windows to get the players in. And people say, no, he recruited Anthony and he's shit, and all these other players, and they haven't played well, and you got Martinez gets hurt. These are all fair criticisms. But it gets to a point when you're on TV or you're on a YouTube channel and you're giving your view of the game, and you go from an everywhere you're be a pundit or a fan or something, and then you get to the next level like you're somebody in a bar that's had 7 pints, and then something like saying that stupid, bald, concussed person is destroying my family or my team, and it becomes so personal at that point. Now, I'm all about free speech, and he should be allowed to say what he has to say. But this guy, Faz again, had the temerity to sit there during that show and say, all you people said that I was out of my mind, and now look at you now. And I took all this death threats and all that stuff, and I was right all along. And I replied in the chat that this is an arrogant prick. This is not what you do. When you think you've actually won the war because you want our manager to be fired because he's obviously not a good manager in your mind, that you take a victory lap because the team is not playing well. And then you say that he was doing something to a 19-year-old starter for Manchester United, and somehow this guy can't deal with the fact that he had to be subbed off at halftime. Are these adults? They're kids. He just signed a huge contract for Manchester United. I'm sure it's over $100,000 a week. That's $5 million a year, £7 million. I don't know. It's a lot of fucking money. He's in the top 0.1 of all people on earth for what he's getting. And 18 months ago, 30 months ago, you wanted a disciplinarian that would keep the players in check. So when he does it to somebody he's actually promoted to the youth, up to the first team, who wants to use his, give him that type of knowledge, respect. The thing is, the difference when he's dealing with guys that have been there for 5, 10 years, and they're like, oh, he doesn't treat them the same. Of course he does not. These people have been there forever. It's difficult to say, Rashford, you can't play. When we know the potential that he can score, right? And the issue is, for the first 4 months of the season, we were not scoring. And a lot of that's on Rashford. It is. But this weekend, it's like Anthony couldn't play. So who do you bring in? You bring Ahmad and Garnacho? Maybe. That's a fair debate to say. You can say that that's the issue. He should have started with younger guys because they look like they want to do something for the team. But then you have to understand what Ahmad did when he shut down his social media because he was not getting playing time. Apparently. A lot of them said it was for Ramadan. But this is what this toxic media that's in the country anyway, when it comes to sport in England. And then you have people that don't really have that type of background will report shit on their feelings. I mean, when you see guys that they emote like women, and you sit there, what the heck? And it's the strange thing of that whole thing was when he started saying shit like that, Beth, the only female, actually had to check him a little bit, say we're not going down that road. But when he sat there and saying that I was right all along, do you want everybody to stand up and say, good for you, our country, our team is bad, good for you, man. You know, there's a meme out there too where from, I don't know if it's Dark Rise, or is the third one, the second one. It's Bart Goldbridge walking away from the hospital as it blows up in the background, saying he blows up Manchester United. This guy thinks he's a fan, which he is, and I've always given that. I know he's a fan, but he's got, I don't want to say he wants to be too biggish for his bitches, but he has. He's built, he did a book now. He wants to be more into this. Like I said about a year ago, I said, it's not about being a fan anymore. He wants to be about entertainment. And he basically says that. So when he has his reactions or something like that, it's not WWE type stuff, but it's theatrical. And he's somewhat cultivated that in the other part of his show, the fan forum. And people say, Gene, that's just their opinion. All that's fine. It's just when you get to a certain point, you have to be able to call that out as well. I don't, I've had thread and I'm right. And because I'm right, I'm going to sit there and say it. That doesn't make you right. It just means that you're a dick. You're an arrogant dick, and you have no idea what's going on in the background. You don't know if these players are actually playing for the manager and all. All I know, to me, the tactics are off for the type of player that we have. But just if we went out right now, probably not now, but probably 2 or 3 months ago, and we said, you know what, we're going to shut up in the back, and we're going to just try to get 1-0 or just draw for the rest of the year. Same people like that will be complaining that we're not playing the style of play that he wants to play that he had at Ajax. I have an issue that I think that there are players in the team that don't really fit that type of mold. And I think one of them is Bruno. And I could be 100% wrong if another manager comes in here and uses him correctly. But he's not like Odegaard at Arsenal. He's not like Rod. He's not those guys or De Bruyne that actually could hold onto the ball and make the right passes at the right time. He can make good passes. He can make the worldly pass. He has a threat to score. And yes, he runs, but he's out of position all the time, in my opinion. And that leaves that huge opening between the defense and to their defense, between the midfield. And our midfield sucks. So I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, get Casemiro out of that game, bring in Eriksen to hold on to the ball. Especially the second half, it just looked like to me that Bournemouth was just saying, we're just going to wait for them to do that, and we'll just get them on the break. So you bring in a guy that can actually unclock the defense, because is Casemiro really defending anybody? Again, he's the coach. He sees them in training. They know that this man, Casemiro, was the best DM in the world at one point. Clearly he's lost a step, as Marcus has. Several times that Bruno threw him a pass or hit a pass to him 3 years ago, he would have went on that and went in, and I'm not going to say he would have scored, but he would have been on in the goal. He doesn't have that pace anymore. And the thing is, he can't, people have not even bringing this, they don't ever bring this up, that he's lost so much pace. And the fact that he is not good enough to play in the number 9, he can be, it's whether he has to, if he wants to bulk up even further and actually learn how to hold on to the ball with his back to the goal, then he could be okay there. But he's not like that. He has to have his head down, has to try to go in a cul-de-sac and try to get in somehow. At least Garnacho is taught better than that. So I'm not upset with their platform. I'm not really upset with their presenters, but it's not infuriating. But when somebody says us, and I sit there and wow, that's kind of over the top, and then he continually goes on and says, just over there, everybody was saying this to me, and now you're not saying this. You're saying the same thing I said 6 months ago, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Is this what you wanted? It's like when Mark is watching the game and says, I think it's going to be 2-2, and I think that Rashford's probably not going to have a good game, and all this stuff like that, but I want him to prove me wrong. I hope he gets a hat trick. I hope he looks up and passes the ball. I want us to win. I don't want to have a draw. That's why I kind of like distance Mark from that dude, because Mark's been around for a while. But this guy is like, he realized that being more toxic, or I hate that word, but being edgy will give him more views. So I'm sure he's got his own YouTube channel. I see him on other shows now. So Mark's platform has allowed him to have his fan base, or whatever you want to call it. So he gets to go on all these other shows. I mean, mainstream media is gone when it comes to soccer and football in the world. They regularly talk to fan channels on these channels, on these shows. Talk Sport will continually talk to Mark. Mark has his own show on there, and then they'll call the guys from AFTV, Arsenal Football, or Anfield Agenda. Those guys have somewhat of a large following, not like Mark, but they get on there all the time, because this is how the media has changed. So that's all great, and you want the fans to have an opinion, but there should be, even though we don't have it in real journalism anyway, they report shit that's not real. But you would think that fans would sit there and say, we weren't where we're at today. Apparently we weren't motivated. That's on the manager. And you can make that claim, and it's probably right. And that could be enough for him to lose his job. Continually playing Rashford, if other players are still available, and just putting Rashford in the game and saying it's all about favoritism. I don't know that. All I know is that he makes a decision based on what he sees in training. He talks to his other coaches, and they make the decision. And then you see flashes from Marcus. Actually, I thought he played really well defensively. He went back and did more things than he normally does, and I got to give him credit for that. But he still has the same issues that he has. And when you get to be 26, 27, it's hard to change that. Unless you're Giggs or somebody like that, you'd be saying, I'm going to change, and I'm going to be in the midfield. Or guys that have unbelievable amount of talent that Marcus doesn't really have. He's a narrow, focused type player, and if he doesn't have his speed, then you see the other part of his game is not at the same level as somebody that's at the next level, that can actually do stuff if they start losing their speed later in their career. And anybody, and I would challenge any of you to sit there and just watch Marcus when he first came in and see how he is now, and just see how much slower he is. Clearly faster than most, but defenders in the Premiership can easily take care of him. Even guys like white dudes that can clearly stay with him. It wasn't that way when he first came in. Once he got where he was gone. You couldn't do anything about it, and it's just whether he was actually a scorer or not. So he needs to improve his game. And apparently PSG doesn't want him anymore. But I still think he needs to be sold. So we're at the same position that we've had the last 3 managers we've had. And we're probably going to do the same thing that Eric Ten Hag. And if he continually has the same players, or the players won't play for him, At the end of the day, you're going to get rid of the manager before you get rid of the players. But we have to understand that it's always been the same players. And the thing is that all you could say to somebody like Garnacho is that this man gave you your first start, stayed with you for 32 straight games. He wasn't making an example. I hate fucking that to say that he was being an example because he's a bad coach, and that's what this Foz said, and this is also what Mark said. And then Mark saying shit like that on Twitter, and then Garnacho liking it. Now, of course, he deleted it, and I'm sure he talked to Ten Hag about it and said that, look, I'm not going to do that again. And again, there's also a language thing, because part of his text was just saying he's done so well during the year, and maybe that's all he saw, that he said like to that. Should Garnacho or other players in the first team follow Mark Goldbridge? But again, this is how it is. You can't change what it is now. It's social media. That's how they're growing up. But again, these are the same fans that said that we needed to have a disciplinarian type of coach, and but he has favorites, and he has to believe. Again, who do you think is better? Even as bad as Anthony as Rashford has been, I would say most of the fan base would still take Rashford over Anthony in the position. Again, Anthony will be on the other side. Certainly, they would take Garnacho over Anthony. So you're in that position, and it's like the same thing. Garnacho's playing out of position, so that's Mark was defending him because he was in the wrong position. That's not how we lost that first goal. It's not had nothing to do about the position of where he is. It was a good pass to him. He lost it, got about 5 yards from him. They got off to it, and he couldn't get back and defend it. It has nothing to do with whether he's on the right side or the left side. He just didn't hold on to the ball. And at that level, you can't lose the ball there because of the way they play, the way Manchester United plays. Again, if most, and I've been saying this for ever. If all you have is what you have, that you're best on the break and you can play good defensive, and you can win games 1-0. And we did that a lot last year. People forget that. We won a lot of games easy by one goal. Then play it. But he continually said, I want to change, be a transitional type of football team, and he wants this to happen. He wants, when they get the ball, to be proactive and positive. But you have to be smart. And there are way too many times that Bruno just throws the ball down the field instead of just bring it back, hold on to it. And then what they really should be having at that point is that somebody like a younger Eriksson or Odegaard or something like that can come in and settle it down, get the pattern starting, and see what we can do to get in. Because as great as we can be on the break, if we want to be on the next level, we have to be a team that can break down the low block and do something from there. And right now we're not that. We never have been since Fergie left. And the thing is, we have wingers that both want to come back into the middle of the field and get their shots off and don't really want to cross it from the outside. And until we either settle that or say this is how we're going to play, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to be good in spurts, maybe get enough to get a goal to win a game, but we're not going to be dominant. We're not going to look like Liverpool and hold on the ball for 70 minutes, 70%, or even Brighton. And the whole second half, if you watch Villa versus, this is a team that we beat twice. And we actually outplayed them in Villa. We outplayed them the second half at home. But they sat there and they just had onto the ball. And Arsenal couldn't really do a whole lot with it. And then eventually they got their goal. I don't think that was Arsenal capitulation. I don't think that's what it was. That wasn't what it was last year. They played well, first half played well, and then Aston Villa got into the game. They felt more confident about themselves, and when you can actually pass the ball around, even though you're not scoring, it just causes the other team to make mistakes, and that's what they did at the end of the game. Their first goal should have been taken care of, but it wasn't. It just went right across, and nobody did anything about it. I don't think they were just, oh shit, we couldn't deal with the fact that, we have to keep winning and winning and winning or we're not going to win the league. I think that they just got beat by a team that played their style and it was hard to deal with. And Villa has been good probably 80% of the year, but somehow we beat them twice. So there's a lot of problems with Manchester United. I'm not sure if the coach is the problem. I don't know. I don't think there's anybody out there we're going to come in. Are we going to bring a coach in that's going to be player FC? I mean, it's just interesting how a channel can sit there and say I don't want to individualize any certain player, and then he does it, and then he blames the manager for taking off a player that he promoted, that has always backed him, that he had to be disciplined with him when he didn't show up for something or was late. He said this is what's going to happen. Had a big conversation with him. Garnacho said I won't do it again. All this stuff. Obviously, Garnacho is a fan of this team. He's got a tattoo of it on himself. People say he wants to go to Madrid. Maybe he will. I don't think he's good enough. He's not fast as like Vinny. I mean, he's quick, but he's not fast. Again, he's not Mbappe, and he has the problem. You know, people say that he's being played out position. He played really good for about 15 games, playing on that side, and I think that the fact that he's over there, for his rest of his career, I think it'll show that he's more versatile. But again, I get this part that we're opening up so that Rashford can have his own position, and Garnacho had probably won that position, but more injuries and stuff like that, and Rashford looks like he might score, then he might score. I think Rashford's fine until he's not fine. Okay, again, he's not world class. Never has been. He's a decent player, but he wouldn't start for City. I don't know if he would start for Villa because he's not, unless you get a coach that'll actually get it out of him. And I think I thought he tracked back well in that game, but he doesn't have the football IQ, in my opinion. Sometimes. I think clearly he loves Manchester United and all that stuff, and I think that if he was motivated enough, that maybe he would do well. But he's like a lot of young people, and he's a senior player now. But his problem is he's not being motivated enough. Or maybe he's carrying something, he doesn't want to hurt it. There are a couple of games that I thought the first 15, 20 minutes that he looked like fresh, looked like he was going to do stuff. He was going after the ball, to get it back. And then we would lose the ball and get a goal, and then he kind of like goes down. And he's a type of player that shows his trust, his attitude on him. And people say, oh, he's lazy. Okay, well, there might be some truth to that. But when you sit there and you watch Villa or all the really good teams in the league, and how quickly they go back and defend and stuff, and we're loafing back. And that's what I have an issue with. And at what level do you blame the manager or you play the players? I've said it many times on this channel that we should just get rid of all of them and start over and just promote our youth team. We will not get relegated. The 21 and the 18s, bring them up. Have a couple of senior players still there that we know will play. You can keep Maguire, Lindelof, guys like that, Delo, stuff like that. You keep the defense somewhat decent. I would still get another player. I would, if we're going to play Ten Hag type of play. But people are like, okay, you're going to get rid of him, okay, and bring in Southgate. And of course, I don't want Southgate. I think that he has probably the best team in the world as a national coach, and they don't play to their strength. However, he might do well with Manchester United for the type of players that we have. That we would just sit there and defend well and frustrate the other team and then beat them on the break. Play ollie ball or sometimes ollie. We play pretty well at certain times on ollie as well. And you would think he would when you had Matic and Pogba in the midfield. I mean, that's a pretty good midfield, regardless of their form. They definitely could do things. And when they were playing well, obviously we finished second one year with those players. So it's not like we couldn't have. We had 80 points. We weren't consistent enough. And I think City got 100 points that year. So anyway, I've been talking for 30 minutes now. I just, it's, again, this is not an attack to anybody, but I think that when you have the opportunity, and it's a big opportunity when Mark Burlbridge, who was just nothing, I don't know, 10 years ago, when I first started watching him, he had 35,000 subscribers. And he was like, oh, I can't wait. If we get to the point, we'll have as much as that fills up Old Trafford. That'd be like the greatest thing ever in my life. And now he's got almost 2 million, and he has other channels, and he's doing other shit, and he's blown up all over himself, and he thinks he's a little bit more smart than he is, and he claims other people that are not real fans, and then he says it's okay if you have opinions, but then he doesn't say that it's a real opinion, and then they get upset about it. Don't individualize players, and don't say something about the manager that's not, and then he blames the manager, saying he's cowardly for not taking players off. And I'm like, he also sat down Marcus one time. I mean, yeah, you can make, if you really think that this manager is a coward, that he's so worried that if he brings somebody else in that he's going to lose his job, okay, then he should not be the manager of Manchester United. He got rid of one of our biggest club legends. And look, I think that Marcus probably wouldn't have started against Bournemouth. I don't think he would have. But Anthony obviously got hurt. That's not what the press was saying. He was saying that Anthony was saying, I'm not getting any playing time, and I'm upset. Look, when you're sitting there and you're not playing well, like if they were all playing well and we're not getting results, if they're giving everything that you think just by watching them, and it's just not enough, and you see everything just about right there, but just can't finish it, you're like, that's all fine. And as a coach, you sit there and say, I understand their issues, but we're not seeing that. We played well for about 30 minutes against Liverpool in the FA Cup. After they scored, then we played pretty well at the end of that. But that was like frenetic chaos. And Liverpool could have scored 3 or 4 goals during that time. They didn't do it. I don't know exactly what the tactics are right now. Is he just like saying this is what we're going to do? I think it's wrong. Is that enough to fire him? Sure, it is. If you decide on that level that you think that we don't have the players to play that tactics, or maybe those type of tactics can't work in the Premiership, then I would say go back when he played in Ajax. They didn't play like we're playing. They didn't do this shit and have 40 yards or 50 yards between, just wide open, that we allowed them to come in and then they right on top of us. I mean, we do not have a midfield that can stop this. You know, I won't, at that point, I'm like, play a 3-5-2. And then I think you put Marcus right next to, or close to Rasmus. And then they have to learn from each other and maybe get something similar to what we had with Cole and York. Once they get this, there was times early in the season that looked like they were getting their radars together, and then people got hurt and stuff like, and we kind of lost that, and then he had to play out. It's just so I think that if you give him enough time, I think they could be good there, and I think maybe we might be better playing a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. But if we go to a 3, you have to get physically athletic players to play the 3. And we don't really have that. If Martinez was healthy, Varane was healthy, you could have 2 there. And then Kambala could probably play there too. But it's going to be interesting to see. You know, the reports out now that, again, no, but you can't understand or trust any of the reports. They're saying that basically they're going to fire him regardless at the end of the season. And probably what we're going to do is have the Van Gaal thing. He's going to go in there, wins the FA Cup, and then get fired at the same time. Now, if we beat City in the final and they fire him and we finish 6th, I'll be upset about that because I don't think that's fair. I don't. Anyway, I thought when he first started, the first 2 games we played so poor, but that first game against Liverpool, and we outplayed them, outworked them, beat them, and then when City came in, we beat them. We were only 1 point behind them with what, almost the first half of the first season, the first half of the season was done. They were like 38, and they were 39 or something. We were right there. Now, City was not winning. It was Arsenal was in the league. They had 41 points, I think. And they made the point, Peter Drury said, if Manchester United or if Manchester City is trying to win the title and they're contenders, why won't we be? We're only 1 point behind them. And then after the break between the two seasons, we don't have it. It's not the same as in Germany, but the guy came from international, and we just started losing games and got too many draws, and that shit happened. And then we fell behind. And City did what they normally do. They win 15 in a row or 10 in a row, and they won the league. And they're probably going to do it again. It is, again, I'm all about giving your opinion, but when you say when your manager is concussed, and then he throws an 18-year-old or 19-year-old under the bus, and he's cowardly, and I'm like, and then you claim victory because we're not playing well, because you said something 6 months ago, because he's a fraud, never should have been. Yeah, this is the guy that should have been the Champions League final. And he had some really good players in that team, and they played a great brand of football. Yeah, look, it's 90% the players, 9% the manager, and 1% who knows. But the players don't play, or excuse me, the manager does not play. And really, the players can do whatever they want to do on the field, and that's what they do. They do not track back. As crazy as what it looks like out there, Ten Hag comes out after the game and continually says, this is not exactly what I wanted them to do. It's like you tell them what to do, you give them a game plan, and they go out and do other shit. I do have problems with the tactics, I do. And you can't do anything about it because the players that we have. And again, these are the same players that got 3 player managers already fired, and they're trying to get the 4th one done. All right, that's it for now. You guys have a good day, and let me know in the comments what you believe. Do you think that this type of fan channels, opinions, is there a point that they should just stick to football instead of being personalized and saying somebody is a concussed because he doesn't know what he's doing? When you go to that level and saying that his tactics are wrong, isn't the right person for the job, but then you say stuff like that is going too far, let me know in the comments. You guys have a good day.